If there were ever an award for most painful way to die in the Jurassic, a particular Allosaurus might just win it in a landslide. Discovered in 1999 and dated to about 147 million years ago, this predator wasn't fossilized mid-battle with another dinosaur, but the injury it sustained was so uniquely awful that it paints a picture of a life, and death, that was anything but easy. When paleontologists first examined the fossil, their attention was immediately drawn to the Allosaurus's pelvic region, where they found something deeply unnatural: a fist-sized hole driven straight through the bone. The location of this hole wasn't just anywhere, it was right in the area corresponding to the creature's crotch. To put it simply, something had punctured this dinosaur in its most vulnerable spot, and it only got worse from there. Although the Allosaurus had survived the initial impact, its recovery didn't go smoothly. A massive abscess developed around the wound, indicating a raging infection that eventually spread throughout its body. The creature had likely been left limping and suffering, still trying to survive as an apex predator while battling a festering, painful injury. A wound that ultimately killed it over the course of several agonizing weeks. Now, the obvious question: what on earth caused such a wound? After examining the fossil and narrowing down likely suspects, researchers came to a chilling conclusion. The shape, depth, and location of the puncture matched only one potential weapon: the spiked tail, or thagomizer, of a Stegosaurus. Each Stegosaurus tail carried sharp, bony spikes designed for defense. And while they may look slow and clunky in reconstructions, these dinosaurs were perfectly capable of swinging their tails with enough speed and power to puncture bone. That appears to be exactly what happened here. The working theory is that this unfortunate Allosaurus tried to bring down a Stegosaurus, and failed miserably. In the scuffle, the Stegosaurus landed a perfectly placed counterstrike, driving its tail spike right through the predator's underbelly and into its pelvis. And although the fossil doesn't show both dinosaurs locked together, it's one of the clearest examples we have of Jurassic-era combat going horribly wrong for a predator. More importantly, it's a vivid reminder that in the ancient world, size and strength weren't always enough. Sometimes, one bad move against the wrong herbivore could mean a slow and painful death. While saber-tooths and dire wolves often get the spotlight when talking about Ice Age dangers, sometimes the most brutal encounters didn't involve predators at all. A prime example: the now iconic fossil discovery in Nebraska that featured two fully grown Columbian mammoths, each one weighing more than 10 tons, found locked in mortal combat. This was no random death. This was a death match, one that may have even been witnessed by early humans, since it happened just around 12,000 years ago. Columbian mammoths were among the largest land mammals of their time. Towering, tusked, and wrapped in shaggy hair, they were Ice Age icons. And although they had to deal with some legendary predators, from giant cats to packs of hungry canids, the fossil record tells us that their greatest threats sometimes came from within their own kind. This particular fossil scene is one of the most gruesome and dramatic mammoth encounters ever discovered. Interestingly, both mammoths in the fossil were missing one of their tusks prior to the fight. Now, that might sound like it would decrease the damage they could do, but it turned out to have the opposite effect. Their broken tusks allowed them to get closer than usual during the charge, and that's where things got messy. One of the mammoths managed to drive its remaining tusk straight into the eye socket of its rival. For any living creature, that would be a catastrophic blow, and in most cases, the fight would end there. But that's not what happened. Instead, due to the odd angles and shapes of their damaged tusks, the two mammoths became stuck together, locked at their heads, unable to separate. And because of their enormous bulk and tusk entanglement, they couldn't break free, or even maneuver away. They were essentially fused together in an unending fight. So they kept struggling, pushing and pulling, exhausting themselves over time. Eventually one lost its footing and collapsed, dragging the other down with it. When their massive bodies hit the ground, the fight was over, not because one had won, but because neither could get back up. Their position made rising impossible, especially given their size and weight. As they lay there, weakened and battered, they eventually died from starvation, dehydration, or possibly shock. And then, over time, the environment buried them, leaving their final struggle immortalized in fossilized stone. But the story doesn't end there. When paleontologists excavated the site, they discovered something truly unexpected: a third victim, hidden beneath the leg of one of the mammoths. It was a coyote, and its crushed skull made it clear that it had been accidentally pulverized. Why it was there is still a mystery, but researchers speculate that the coyote may have approached the dying mammoths to scavenge one of the bodies, only to be caught in the crossfire of the ongoing struggle. That unfortunate scavenger turned into one of the unluckiest coyotes in history, caught in a battle it never asked to be part of. This single fossil site doesn't just show two Ice Age titans falling, it gives us a rare and brutally clear look at the social dynamics, territorial aggression, and sheer physical danger that even non-predatory megafauna faced. In the ancient oceans, the rule was simple: there's always a bigger predator. But one incredible fossil from late Jurassic Germany captures a rare clash between sea and sky, ending in a tragic three-way death. It began with a small fish, Leptolepides, swimming peacefully, until a Rhamphorhynchus, a long-tailed pterosaur, swooped down and snatched it mid-flight. But just as it flew upward with its prey lodged in its throat, a third predator joined the scene. That hunter was Aspidorhynchus, a sharp-snouted predatory fish about 3 feet long. Instead of stealing the fish, it rammed into the pterosaur's wing, its beak getting tangled in the wing's tough tissue. The two creatures became hopelessly stuck. Thrashing in panic, the pterosaur's wing dislocated, and the tangled pair crashed into the sea. With its mouth blocked and body sinking, the Rhamphorhynchus likely drowned, and the Aspidorhynchus died soon after, trapped in the body it tried to attack. All three, prey, predator, and accidental third party, were buried together, preserved in a fossil that records not just predation, but pure prehistoric chaos. This extraordinary fossil is a snapshot of Jurassic violence, showing how even dominant creatures could fall victim to one fatal mistake, and how sometimes nature's battles weren't about survival, but accidental disaster. In the world of prehistoric matchups, no duel is more legendary than that between the Tyrannosaurus rex and the Triceratops, two titans of the late Cretaceous, both massive, powerful, and iconic. But for decades, debates raged. Did they actually fight? Or were the ideas of these two facing off merely speculation and cinematic fantasy? That all changed with a fossil discovery in 2006, deep within the Hell Creek Formation of North America. There, scientists found the only fully complete Tyrannosaurus rex ever discovered, and buried beside it, the nearly complete remains of a Triceratops. Both specimens showed extensive damage, and they weren't randomly scattered. They were entangled, preserved together in what appears to have been a brutal prehistoric battle. Let's start with the T-Rex. This wasn't some hulking adult king of the Cretaceous. It was a subadult, still powerful but notably smaller than the Triceratops it was found with. Yet it was clear the Rex had gone all in. Its skull was cracked, its arms and fingers were broken, and its teeth were shattered, with some still lodged in the spine of the Triceratops. The Triceratops, in contrast, appeared to have suffered multiple deep bite wounds across its body, particularly along the spine and flanks, evidence that the Tyrannosaurus actively attacked it. But here's where things get interesting. While the Triceratops was a fully grown, multi-ton adult, the Tyrannosaurus was still maturing. That makes the idea of a solo assault questionable. This sparked two main theories. The first is that this wasn't a solo fight at all. Some paleontologists propose that the T-Rex may have hunted in coordinated packs or small family groups, with this adolescent being one of several attackers. There's limited fossil evidence suggesting social behavior among tyrannosaurs, which could support this notion. A group hunt against a massive herbivore. The second, more widely accepted theory, flips the script. The Triceratops attacked the T-Rex. Modern herbivores like rhinos and elephants are known to aggressively charge predators, especially to protect territory or young. It's plausible that this younger Tyrannosaurus wandered too close, triggering a defensive strike by the larger, heavier Triceratops. If there were young in the area, the aggression makes even more sense. The mystery remains how both creatures died at the same time. The most likely culprit? A sudden, catastrophic event. Perhaps a landslide, flood, or rapid burial in a riverbed, which could explain the pristine preservation and the death pose seen in the T-Rex, with its head arched backward. Even more astonishing, this fossil doesn't just preserve bones. It contains traces of internal organs, stomach contents, and soft tissues in the Tyrannosaurus. That makes it one of the most scientifically valuable fossils ever found, offering unmatched insight into both combat behavior and dinosaur biology. This isn't just fossil evidence of a predator and prey, it's a direct glimpse into the blood-soaked chaos of survival at the end of the age of dinosaurs. A moment frozen in time where even the kings of prehistory could fall, and nothing was guaranteed. When you think of the Mesozoic era, you probably picture dinosaurs ruling the earth while small, shrew-like mammals cowered in the underbrush. But one shocking fossil from early Cretaceous China tells a story that flips that narrative on its head, quite literally. Because in this case, it wasn't the dinosaur doing the attacking, it was the mammal. The mammal in question is Repenomamus, one of the largest mammals living during the dinosaur era. This creature looked like a strange cross between an opossum and a badger, and it was roughly the same size too. Not huge, but far bigger than most of its mammalian contemporaries. Repenomamus was already known for being a meat-eater, thanks to its sharp, slicing teeth, designed for ripping into flesh. But a fossil found in 2005 revealed that meat could include baby dinosaurs, and maybe even more. The fossil in question shows a Repenomamus physically grappling with a Stegosaurus, a small, beaked dinosaur related to later ceratopsians like Triceratops. What's remarkable is that the two creatures are literally locked in battle, preserved mid-fight. The mammal's claws are sunk into the dinosaur's chest, while its jaws are embedded in the ribs, which were actually snapped from the force. The Stegosaurus looks like it was losing the struggle, with its body pinned and its bones breaking under pressure. What makes this even more unbelievable is that the Repenomamus was about 1/3 the size of the Stegosaurus, meaning it was trying to take down a much larger animal. It wasn't defending itself, it was the aggressor. However, the fight didn't end with a clear victor. In fact, it ended in the most unexpected way possible, a volcanic eruption. During the attack, a nearby volcano erupted and buried both animals under a blanket of volcanic ash and debris, killing them instantly, but also preserving them in the exact position they died in. Thanks to this chance event, we have a perfect prehistoric snapshot of an unlikely predator-prey interaction. Even crazier, this wasn't just a one-time thing. Other Repenomamus fossils have been found with dinosaur bones in their stomach contents, particularly from Stegosaurus-like species. That means this wasn't a rare, desperate move. It might have been part of their regular diet. These scrappy mammals may have specialized in hunting baby or small dinosaurs, which would explain both their anatomical adaptations and their bold behavior. This fossil also serves as a sharp reminder. Not every mammal in the age of dinosaurs was meek or harmless. Some, like Repenomamus, were fearsome little predators, the underdogs who occasionally turned the food chain upside down. And without that volcanic eruption, we might never have known. Some of the most chilling conflicts played out in the forest canopy, between creatures no bigger than a fingernail, their fights preserved forever in amber. Around 100 million years ago, in what is now Myanmar, tree resin captured intense snapshots of insect warfare. In one stunning fossil, two ants from different species are frozen mid-battle, one sinking its jaws into the other's head. This is the oldest evidence of interspecies ant war, suggesting organized conflict between colonies has raged for over 100 million years. Another fossil shows a termite and an ant, locked in a prehistoric standoff. Their close proximity suggests the two groups may have already been enemies, hinting at a conflict that began before dinosaurs went extinct and still rages today. A third amber specimen reveals something even rarer, a juvenile spider attacking a parasitic wasp, caught just as it lunged to bite. The two were instantly entombed in resin, making it the only fossil ever found of a spider attacking prey in its own web. These tiny wars lack the size of a dinosaur clash, but offer something just as powerful, a glimpse into micropredation and ancient social warfare, frozen in perfect detail. And thanks to amber, these final, frantic moments are preserved forever, proof that even the smallest creatures have always fought for survival. When most people think of prehistoric brutality, they imagine dinosaur duels or marine reptiles dominating the seas. But one of the most brutal deaths in prehistory happened to a creature as gentle as they come, a prehistoric sea cow known as Culebratherium. Living around 20 million years ago during the Miocene, this 4-meter-long sirenian was a peaceful herbivore, lacking claws, armor, or defense. But one fossil from Venezuelan waters revealed the terrifying danger of its world. The specimen showed severe trauma, not from one predator, but two. One set of bite marks matched a massive crocodilian, possibly a now extinct giant caiman or gavialoid, which had bitten deep into the snout, a move to cut off airflow and drown the animal. That alone suggests the sea cow was alive during the attack. But the horror didn't stop there. Additional wounds on the neck and back showed clear signs of a tiger shark, with one vicious bite so deep that teeth were found lodged in the vertebrae. This means the sea cow may have been ambushed by a crocodile, and while struggling, a shark joined in, delivering its own fatal blows. A rare, gruesome case of two apex predators attacking a single prey at the same time. This fossil paints a chilling scene of prehistoric ocean chaos. And somehow, this moment was preserved in time, a staggering reminder that if you couldn't fight or flee, you weren't just lunch, you were a shared meal. Few fossils have gripped the prehistoric imagination like the legendary fighting dinosaurs. Discovered in 1971 in Mongolia's Jadokta Formation, it captures a rare and brutal moment: a velociraptor and a protoceratops frozen in the middle of a deadly fight. The velociraptor is seen clawing at the protoceratops' head with its forelimb, while its powerful sickle-shaped hind claws dig into the herbivore's neck and gut, aiming to kill. But this wasn't a one-sided attack. The protoceratops has the raptor's arm clamped in its beak, likely slamming it to the ground and pinning it with its heavier body. It's a true stalemate. Predator and prey, both fatally wounded, caught mid-battle. The prevailing theory suggests a sand dune collapsed during the struggle, burying them alive. But newer evidence, like unrelated injuries to the protoceratops, raises another possibility. The two may have killed each other, and a third scavenger took advantage before burial. Regardless of how it ended, this fossil was a game-changer. It gave the first clear proof that dinosaurs didn't just scavenge. They hunted, fought, and sometimes died mid-combat. There were no survivors, only a brutal story etched into stone, and a reminder that in the Cretaceous, one mistake could mean mutual destruction. Long before Tyrannosaurus, before Velociraptor, even before the first true dinosaurs had conquered the land, the Triassic period was ruled by a different breed of killer. These were the early archosaurs, some of whom would evolve into crocodiles and dinosaurs. But in the late Triassic, around 210 million years ago, the land was already a dangerous place, full of apex predators fighting not just prey, but each other. The final fossil in our journey comes from this ancient world, and it offers a haunting glimpse into predator-on-predator violence. It centers around two strange, deadly animals, the Rauisuchian and the Phytosaur. Rauisuchians were massive, heavily built land predators, often measuring up to 26 feet in length. They were distant cousins of modern crocodiles. Part of the Archosaur family, but lived strictly on land and had stocky limbs, powerful jaws, and slicing teeth. Meanwhile, Phytosaurs, though strikingly similar in appearance to crocodiles, were only lookalikes, the result of convergent evolution, and were semi-aquatic ambush predators, lurking in rivers and marshes. At first glance, these two creatures would seem to occupy different niches, one ruling the land, the other the rivers. But a fossil femur, a massive leg bone from a Rauisuchian, shattered that assumption. The femur, belonging to a 26-foot Rauisuchian, was found covered in tooth marks, with some teeth still embedded in the bone. More than that, some of these bite marks had begun to heal, while others were fresh and lethal, indicating that this predator had been attacked at least twice, and had survived the first encounter, only to succumb to the second. The attacker? A Phytosaur, likely 20 feet long, significantly smaller than its victim. The matchup is shocking, an aquatic predator ambushing a much larger terrestrial carnivore. But how? The secret lies in the location of the wounds. The bites were all to the rear of the leg, suggesting the Rauisuchian was attacked from behind, possibly while crossing a river or marshy floodplain. The Phytosaur, using the advantage of water and surprise, latched onto the leg, delivering a devastating ambush. It's possible that the first attack left the Rauisuchian wounded, but alive, limping away. But the second attack proved fatal, and both assaults were from Phytosaurs. This fossil forces us to reconsider the dynamics of Triassic ecosystems. We often picture herbivores as prey and carnivores as rulers. But in a world saturated with predators, no creature was safe, not even the hunters themselves. Large carnivores like Rauisuchians could easily become prey when crossing into another predator's domain. It also reveals that the battle for survival wasn't limited to plant eaters fleeing toothy jaws. Predators fought each other, ambushed one another, and occasionally lost, in the most dramatic and painful ways imaginable. In the age before dinosaurs rose to dominance, nature was already red in tooth and claw, and this fossil, bearing the brutal marks of two separate attacks, is one of the most chilling reminders that the Triassic was no less vicious than any period that followed. Subscribe to Extinct Wild for jaw-dropping prehistoric showdowns, rare fossil finds, and the wildest moments nature almost forgot.